Forged in Silence podcast, addressing issues men face but rarely talk about. Today, we're going to have another conversation with Brian. It's so nice to have you back, Brian. Um, we've
Thanks
had
for having me.
a couple conversations here and there. It's been actually really cool to stay in contact with you since you've been on the podcast previously. Uh, a little weekly updates, a little hey, how's it going, and that sort of thing. It's been nice getting to know you a little bit and connecting with you. So it's really nice to have you back. Before we get into what we're going to talk about, before we get into this conversation of giving back and what that means and how we do these sort of things and how it helps us when our mental health is kind of in the shitter or how it can. Uh, First, I'm going to say if you like this podcast and you're enjoying these episodes, hit like, subscribe, follow, do all the things. It looks like right now that most of the people that are viewing the podcast aren't subscribers yet. So it'd be really cool if you could just hit that button. You'll get notification when another episode comes out, either Sunday night, Monday ish. Normally, Sunday night is when you drop it, Robbie?
Usually, yep.
And so this one will drop on Sunday. If you're watching here live on YouTube, then awesome. Then you don't have to watch it on Sunday. But otherwise, you get the cleaned up version on Sunday. You can always watch the live version on our YouTube channel. Anyways, that's it for this. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. Robbie, I'm going to start with you because you're a ball of energy today. And so I really want to know, how are you really?
I'm struggling this week. Not gonna lie, it's been a rough week. I got a head cold or whatever the sickness is that's going around that's been kicking my butt. Started feeling kind of crappy on Monday. It's gotten worse every day, including today is bad. Every time I breathe, my head wants to pop. So constant headache, congestion, all the other fun stuff. Sore throat, start coughing today. My daughter has it too, and it was kind of funny. We were going back and forth this morning, and she's like, "How you feeling?" Worse today than yesterday. So that's something I guess we get to share. But work's been busy as usual. But being sick just really takes it out of me. I don't get sick very often, and my whole mental health just goes to shit. On the struggle bus, feeling like worthless. All those tools aren't helping. All I want to do is sleep. Don't want to talk to anyone. uh, I don't even have thoughts sometimes. My mind is just all over the place because I can't think straight because the way I feel. So I'm just hoping this gets over soon or a little bit of light. Seems like everything just keeps stacking on, and that's okay. Maybe one day there'll be a little glimpse of light at the end of the tunnel. I need it. So that's all I'm doing, really.
I am almost surprised you didn't send me a message saying, dude, I don't want to do this crap today, because I imagine that thought's gone through your mind a lot this morning / early afternoon.
It has. But one thing for me is after we always have these talks, I always feel better. So I knew getting on here and hanging out with Brian and Steve and be able to talk, I'll feel better after. So that's one thing I can't. There's no negotiation there. If we have a podcast scheduled, our guest is going to be there. Unless I'm on my deathbed, I'm going to be there. First, it's an integrity thing. The guest is making time. We're making time. And in the end, I need it too. And so do all the people listening. So that's why I'm here.
Right on. It's good to see you anyways, even if you're not full of P and V.
Maybe by the end. I don't know.
I'll try and bring a little bit more energy.
Okay. All right. I'm going to throw this to Brian. How you doing, really?
Well, first, I hope you feel better, Robbie.
Thank you.
That's bad stuff. How am I doing? Really? Um, Good, but probably over the last month or so, I've been struggling. Um, just you ever have those things where it just seems like it's one punch after another, after another, after another, and all these little things just start piling up. And been traveling a lot, which has just made me exhausted. Seems like I've just been not in one place too long. Uh, just all these little things, a lot of weird things. Still kind of dealing with my dad, and some great things going on there, but some weird things and some things that I'm still trying to unpack and wrap my mind around, And of course, you guys knew in the middle of all those travels had car problems,
Mm-hmm.
so ended up with car issues and dealing with some health problems myself. That's got me worried a little bit, going back and forth to different appointments and trying to see how that's going to fall out and unpack. And it's just been one thing after another, but struggling through it. We're just moving on, and we're here today to talk about good things. So I'll throw it to you, Steve. How are you?
Ooh. First, it's once again, it's nice to see you. Uh, it's it's always tough when you got family health that you're thinking and worrying about. Then, like you said, it piles on, and if you can't find a way to move through it or past it, it still hangs on and it still stays there. So I get it. I today am I'm doing really good. I'm ahead of the game when it comes to my school work, which is great. To the point right now where I can't do any of next week's stuff, and I've done all of last week's stuff. And normally I'm so busy with whatever those are to take care of that I have some downtime right now, and I'm kind of don't know what to do with myself because like I've I've hyper focused on either school or getting to work and then getting these podcasts in and then my recovery podcast too, where a lot of the times I'm just trying to figure out how to manage my time. And today there is a bunch of free time, which feels great because my grades are reflecting my effort and which is really good. But I'm in this weird spot where now I have free time and I'm wondering what to do with it. Do I go and do something fun? Like, and I'm pissing away time thinking about what am I gonna do with it, right? Like, I'm like, oh, should I go and do something fun? The weather's crap out, so I can't really go out and do that. So I'm taking care of a bunch of the little things around here and getting my truck ready. I was in a car accident this week. My truck got sideswiped a little bit. Guy changed lanes, didn't see me, ran through the blind spot, hit the side of my truck. So it's gonna have to go in. I call her the Silver Chariot. She's gonna have to go in and get some dental work and some side work done on her. But it's still, you know what? I'm I'm not upset about it. Everyone was okay. Truck still got me to school in time to do an exam. I show up early for everything. I'm side ranting right now, but I show up early for everything. And when it's an exam day, I show up even earlier. So I'm like ready and I'm prepared. And so I got in the car accident. And it's like 7 o'clock in the morning, and my exam was at 8 o'clock, and I still got to the exam 20 minutes early. The local police were nice enough to understand that and take my information and fill things out and send me on my merry way. I got 50 out of 50 on the exam. Anyways, I was honestly though, I was looking for a way out. I was looking for a way to not do that because my nervous system was fried. I was on like high alert. I can just feel my heart pattering away, elevated, and I really didn't want to have to do that exam. But I also knew that it was something that I needed to do. I could have asked to do a makeup exam and she would have given it to me. But I still did it and aced it. So, how am I doing really? really good overall. Just kind of having a slow day, and I'm gonna enjoy those slow days when they show up because they're a rare thing nowadays. So, anyways, that's what's going on here. I'm the ball of energy, so I'll try and bring some of the sauce. Anyways, we're here with Brian to talk about. He sent us a message, and he was talking about some of the ways that he gives back, and he thought it would be, and I think it's inspiring to do that sort of thing. To when you have time to go and give back and connect with other humans. And I think it's good for us, and it's good for our souls, and it's good for our bodies, and it's good for a lot of different things, even if we're not feeling the best. Robbie, you showing up here because you know it's important to you, because you know it's important to show up and still do the thing, regardless if you of how you feel. And you said it earlier, you know that when you show up here, you always feel better afterwards. And I think that ties into giving back and doing nice things and volunteering your time and effort and maybe your skills and talents to help those people that could maybe benefit from them. So Brian, the floor is yours, but before you start getting into what you do and what you want to try and accomplish, can you tell us about your calendar? Let our audience know about the calendar, what you're doing with the calendar, where they can find it, because you're an excellent nature photographer and you take phenomenal pictures and you put a lot of effort into getting those shots out in the middle of nowhere. If somebody wants what you're creating, absolutely, please share it with them. Please share it with the audience, man.
Well, thank you. Yeah, this will be my 15th year, I think, doing a calendar.
Amazing.
This is the first year that it's been landscape all along, but that's only about 50% what I do. This year, for the first time, I mixed wildlife and landscape together, so I'm a little bit excited about this one this year. You can find it by messaging me on my Instagram. It's Brian Venghaus Photo on Instagram. It's BrianVenghous, and then the word photo. Just message me. I take payment through Venmo. They are $40. They are a big, huge calendar. And I designed it that way to, once you buy this calendar, you can cut all those prints out. Now you have 13 prints that you can frame and put up in your house. So they've been very popular all year. And this year, even to be a little more eco-friendly, I guess you can call it, instead of bringing them all in and me buying boxes and shipping and packing and shipping them out, I'm taking your information, getting with my printer, and I'm having them send them directly to you and cut the middleman out. So,
Awesome.
So, but yeah, that's where you can find it. Find me on Instagram, follow along, and follow my journey, and grab a calendar to. And I'd appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Anybody out
Thank
there,
you.
go and get a calendar. And if you're wondering what some of the pictures look like, go and find them on Instagram and go and take a look at those pictures.
Yeah, I just
they-
posted today what every photo on the calendar is. I just did that today.
I took
I
a
saw
look
that.
at it and I
So
shared it
did I.
on the stories too with a link back to your profile because, I mean, some gorgeous pictures, man. Gorgeous pictures. I love the wolves.
Mm-hmm.
The wolves are just some of those pictures. I'm like, how?
I'm leaving in the morning to go shoot wolves again.
Are you?
Yes.
Okay. How do you get that close? And I mean, I know you got like telephoto lenses and stuff like that, right?
That's
Like,
it, yeah.
I mean,
Right.
you're not getting up there and licking them in the face because I imagine that's
Well-
probably not the safest thing to do. But
Well, yeah.
how
wolves
far
are-
close away do you actually get? I want inside
That is
scoop.
that. Here's the inside scoop. This is wolves are my favorite animal ever. I actually used to have a pet one. Had one for 11 years, long time ago.
Wow.
And for many years now, not only do I shoot out in Wyoming and Montana, and then I use a 500, 600 millimeter lens to get that close. And one of the secrets in photography, when you got a huge megapixel camera like I got, you can crop in and make it look closer. So there's a little inside secret for you. But what I also do is when I'm not shooting wolves in Wyoming and Montana, I also volunteer and I'm part of a wolf sanctuary in southern Indiana. We have a pack of wolves there, about 17 wolves. We've got fox and we've got bison. And me and some other photographers actually go, we got a huge enclosure with a lake and woods and everything in there. We go inside the enclosure with the wolves and shoot. They are still wild wolves. We had people there for our safety to watch our backs. But I've been kissed, I've been bit, I've been humped, I've been peed on. I've got teeth marks in my lenses. So that's how close I get to wolves.
Oh man, some of them got really friendly with you then too, I take it.
Oh yes. I've been kissed by wolves, and I've had them yank my hoodie and drag me 30 feet, and it's so yeah, I shoot there, but also this wolf sanctuary. It's one of the top in the world, and people come from all over the world to study wolf behavior and you know how they feed and how they eat, how they interact as a family, and they were instrumental in getting the wolves back in Yellowstone. So much of what we do at that wolf sanctuary is for conservation and getting wolves relisted in the wild. So I do both.
Really neat. So tell us about how giving back helps you.
Well, you know, after our chat before and listening to other episodes after that, which, man, I just love this podcast. So I listen every week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great. And I try to share it as much as possible, as I do too. But I just started thinking, you know, there was things that I did that I kind of told myself I wanted to do something. Mainly, I didn't want other people to feel the way I was feeling when we talked about being lonely and you know, having loss and everything. I was really struggling trying to find out what can I do to make sure nobody else feels that way. Not only would I reach out to my friends and try to stay in contact, and, you know, we talked about that before, how, you know, I'm the one that reaches out, and that's fine. But I wanted to do something more. And I guess it kind of all started is I was actually approached by the local Humane Society here to do photos for the county fair and put on a CD so the dogs could get adopted. So I donated my time and my photography for that. Well, that kind of grew. I started doing that with more and more Humane Societies, and I started contacting them to see if they needed that kind of thing. And it was a nice way for me to cope, I guess. When I was feeling lonely and stuff, I would try to go do that. And then it kind of grew when my grandmother went into a old folks home. We just physically couldn't take care of her anymore, and she needed the help. So unfortunately, we had to put her in a home. And the more and more I visited her, she shared a room with another woman. And I just noticed, like, every time I was there was nobody there with her. And she would always kind of, I guess, crane her neck over, kind of listen to what our conversations were and stuff like that. And I just took notice of it. And I guess the one day that really I did something different was I was showing my grandmother some of the new photographs I had taken. And she was just, you know, you could see her over stretching over trying to look at what I was showing my grandmother. And a little while later, my grandmother was taking a nap, and I went down to the cafeteria, and I seen the nurse that takes care of both of them. And I went over and asked her what was this woman's story. And I find out that she didn't have any family left except for one son that had to move for a job, so they put her in this home, and he moved away. There was nobody coming to visit her. She had nobody. And man, did I relate with that, with all the loss that I've had and feeling alone. But something in my mind clicked that as bad as I thought I had it, to be thrown in a home at that age when you've lived your whole life and gave your life to your family and everything. I mean, I don't know what kind of mother she was or anything, but just to be abandoned, that had to be way worse than what I was feeling. So my next trip in, I had printed off one of my photos, framed it, and gave it to her. And she was just ecstatic. Loved that. So my wheels started turning. And I got a hold of that nurse again and asked her, I was like, how many people in this home do you have in this situation? It was way more than I wanted to hear. So I got with
I
them and asked,
imagine that's probably a decent sized list in almost
Mhm.
any
Yeah.
hospital,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
probably people up in their 80s.
And you know, and
I would guess.
she told me that, and I guess I'd never thought about that. I just, that never something that entered my mind. I guess I thought because I had family seeing my grandmother, constantly. Everybody did,
Hmm.
but they don't, and when you get up in your 80s, sometimes you just don't have family left, or if you
Isn't
never
that
had
something
children.
that's pretty common though? Like, I mean, I'm just thinking in my own thoughts here right now, how we think our bubble is just like everybody else's bubble,
Right.
right? Like we can't see it out. It's hard to see outside of our bubble, so we think like everybody else is experiencing things the same way we are. It's just interesting. I just thought about
E-
that right now, and I'm like, huh.
Exactly.
I mean, I
And
do
it's
that all the time.
and it can be kind of shocking sometimes when you find out that it's not, you know. I was just floored by the information she was telling me, and I guess I was more floored by not only, okay, I at that age you do realize that you've lost maybe their whole family. They have nobody left and they're in this home. Nobody's there to take care of them. But the people that had family that do not come to visit them just blew me away. I don't understand how anybody could do that. I just didn't. So the wheels started turning, and I ended up getting with that nurse, and she put me in touch with a couple other people. And I said, okay, let's say you got 10 people in here that do that. I want to print off a boatload of 8 by 10 pictures. I went out and bought some cheap frames, framed them all. I want to come and spend a whole day or a weekend and go visit each one of these people. Now I needed their help to tell me which people were going to be more receptive to that than others, having a complete stranger come in to talk to them. And believe it or not, most of them wanted that. And so I would come in and just introduce myself, talk to them, but I wanted to hear from them. I wanted to hear their story, why they were there. And I guess a little bit was selfish. I wanted to hear their story, and I wanted to hear somebody that had it worse than me, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And I wanted to stop feeling sorry for myself and feel sorry for somebody else.
Did you?
So
I got a question. I'm gonna
yeah,
lose it if I don't. Did you? You said that you wanted to find someone else that has it worse than you. What was some of the things you started noticing when you were talking to these people in your comfort level and feeling alone?
their story of being abandoned. I mean, I lost family members to them passing away. They didn't abandon me. So yes, I felt alone, but I felt alone because I lost somebody and it was no fault of theirs or mine or anything else. But these people had family that just put them in this home and then never came back. And that is just, I'm like, there's nothing that I could not imagine feeling that way. Now we all may end up feeling that way at some point if we get that, at that age, but that's what struck me, and I guess it made me think of quit feeling the way you feel. Somebody always has it worse. And I guess that was comfort for me when I was really feeling alone and down, and feeling sorry for myself, kind of beating myself up at times, and everything else, I would think about them, and I couldn't imagine feeling that way. So I went and talked to these people and listened to their story and listened about their family, and I mean, you would be surprised the detail of the stories that they remember. It's like they have no other, only thing to do with their time is remember what their life was like instead of where they're at.
Hmm.
And they know every single little detail. And so then I would present them with a picture, give them a choice of some of the photos I had, and then we would talk about me taking that photo and some of the adventures I've been on, and that would relate to them of, well, I traveled there back in 1950, and then I would ask them, what was it like back then at this park or here or there, and it turned into hours of conversation. And I would do that for the day. Sometimes if I didn't get through everybody, I came back the next day and did it. And I did that probably 2, 3 times a year in between in my hometown, the two different homes that they had there. And then the wheels started turning again, and it got to the point where when I traveled, no matter where I was going to go shoot, I would take a day and I would contact a home in that area that I'm at and try to go to that home a day, one day in my trip, take off shooting and go do the same thing at another home. And it is such a coping thing for me. It's giving back, that you don't want people to feel the way you feel, so you do everything you can to relieve it, even if it's just for a couple hours or an hour or a day. So one of the things I kind of want to do is grow that. I want to do that more. I'm actually talking back and forth with two people now at the Children's Hospital in Iowa City, Iowa,
Oh, no
to
way.
do that at the Children's Hospital. That's the hospital that in the Hawkeye game does the wave after the first quarter. It's made college. It's like the coolest thing in college. At the end of the first quarter, all the teams, the audience, and the referees all get in the middle of the field and wave to the kids at the top floor of the Children's Hospital as they
Oh,
watch the
I've heard
game.
of this. Yep.
Yes. So that's the hospital I want to go do this at. And so I've been trying to get okayed to go in there and find out who I can and can't and all that stuff. And I want to grow this. I want to find other men that want to, across the country, that want to do things like this, other photographers that want to do things like this, other musicians. Someday I'd love to have a few photographers and a couple guys and maybe a musician come in and spend a day entertaining these people at a home or these kids in a hospital. Just get their mind off of where they are at.
There's not a
Steve and I,
Go ahead.
Steve and I talked about how important connection is, and some of the things you were saying when you were talking with these people about how you feel and how they feel. And what I hear is that connection you made with those other people made you feel okay with yourself, going back and forth, and that everything was going to be okay. This person was abandoned, or they didn't have any family left. You've had some loss in your life, and you get to share that connection together and meet in the middle and have a dialogue. And I can only imagine at the end of that, like everything was okay, especially if you met with more than one person. Then being able to give them a gift, a picture that you spent so much time working on, spending that time with them, just having a conversation, be able to give back. I can only imagine how that would feel when you left there.
Oh, it felt great. I mean, you also felt sad because you think about the stories they told you, and there's part of you that, because of the way you feel before you went in there, you get angry. How could somebody do this to them? And I would spend a good hour being angry, thinking about the day. of how you have a family. How could you, you know, especially now that I lost my mother, I could never fathom putting my mother in a home and abandoning her and never go see her again. I don't understand how anybody could do that. So it did, Bo. It really made me feel better about myself and people in general, I guess. Yeah, the thing that struck me the most, like I said, was the detail of their stories. And when somebody remembers that much detail, they're hurting. They are hurting because they've been abandoned.
Mhm.
So you can tell they're spending their day going over every single memory that they can think of in detail, just trying to relive it to not basically think about their reality. And if I could come in there and get them to talk about it and ask about me, and not only would they ask about me being, you know, older and wiser, you always listen to your elders. They were giving me advice, you know, and, you know, I can still remember one guy told me, he goes, best advice I can give you is never end up in here. You know, and, you know, some of these people are just so amazing to talk to, you know, to hear what they went through in their lives. And I just, over the episodes of listening to the podcast, and, you know, you guys, this is your way of giving back. You know, you're giving people a voice and a platform. But I also think that listening to all these men come on, I haven't heard about how we come together as men to make things better for somebody else. We talk about our problems. We project that out there. I mean, a lot of us project that out there, hoping somebody's got the magic answer to tell us something to help us. When really the magic answer is go do something for somebody else that may have it worse for you. Suddenly you don't feel as bad about yourself. I mean, not to say that I didn't go back feeling that way after, you know, a few weeks, you get in that mind, but then your mind kicks back into these people. And that's why I wanted to expand this. And when I traveled and when I would go to Wyoming or Montana or wherever, and I've been welcomed everywhere that I talk to a director and tell them what I'm doing. And you know, I mean, some of them are kind of leery. They got a lot of questions, and, you know, it takes a lot of conversations. Be honest with you, the only one that ever turned me down was one in Canada when I was up in Banff. That's the only one. What they're thinking, and I get it. You know, this guy's coming from the United States. We don't know him. He's what, you know. I mean, I get that. You know, what's this guy doing up here to, you know, come into this old folks' home? And I will say, with the environment of the world since I've started this, the conversation's a little bit deeper before somebody lets me in there. You know,
We are so full of skepticism nowadays.
Yeah.
We're more worried about getting fucked over than we are about the benefit of trying. And I mean, there are people like that out there, but I think we get inundated with in the news and everything else about how it goes south, and you get 10 times the benefit of going at it the other way, and one person ruins it for everyone. And we're doing a great job nowadays of just ruining shit for everyone. And all it takes is a couple of people to really wind things up. So I hear you there. I think it probably creates a little bit of a thicker barrier of entry to try and give back in that sort of way.
It does. And now I've noticed in the last couple of years, the questions, one of the first questions I get all the time is, one, we can't pay you. And I've never, ever mentioned being paid or money or anything. And the main thing is, well, they ask, what are you getting out of this? And that's a hard question to ask or to answer. I'm sorry, because I'm like, well, you know, it's a coping mechanism for me and blah, blah, without going into, you know, a 45-minute, you know, laying on a couch spiel, you know, and I'm like, well, you know, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. And and that's why I want to grow it. I want to find men's groups that are about doing this, photographers that are about doing this, because in some ways it seems a little more legit, but I also think that it could help everybody. You know, if you finally get this going enough, people's going to hear about it. Um, and the ones I have done it from or for, they welcome me back. So every time I go back to Wyoming, I stop at the same ones and come back. And that causes some things too, because you do get connections with some of these people and you remember their stories, you remember those people.
And then they're not
And
there
some
when
of
you
them,
get back.
exactly, exactly.
Hmm.
And that can be a little hard. I mean, it's not devastating. I mean, I don't want it to sound bad because you didn't know them, but you remembered their story, and
Hmm.
you
You
know you were
spend some
looking for
time with them.
right,
Connection,
right.
right? Like it all comes down to connecting with people, and people need people, right? Like we just do. We're social animals. We're social beings. We and I know there's introverts and stuff out there. I like being alone myself too. Every once in a while, it's good. It's recharging. But it's also I also get people recharge people, and especially when we're around good people, good-hearted people, people that want better for you. And I mean, I had an experience with was my great aunt's boyfriend who was in the hospital, and I think his family came and saw him. They lived locally and they saw him once a week, twice a week, something like that. Brought him some stuff, but um, it didn't really have much for visitors. The guy was in his 80s, and I I had my great aunt's dog, and I thought, okay, I'll go and visit him and say hi to him and bring the dog because the dog knew him too, and animals always light people up. It's just what happens. And so I went over there and I wasn't really expecting to have much of a chat with them, but the nurses didn't know who the heck I was. And so I told them what I was going to be up to, right? I was bringing the dog to, so he can, have a little bit of attention too. And they were like, great, he's over here, blah, 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 blah. Like they were super kind. And what ended up happening was something very similar to what you're talking about. And I didn't think we were going to come to this point here in this, because I didn't attribute like this personal story that I had to what you're doing. But anyways, I ended up having a conversation with. I had an hour conversation with him, hour and change. And one of the things he was talking about was how the older you get, you start losing people in your life. Right. And he was in his 80s and he goes, I've lost a lot of friends. And through our conversations, when you talk about those people imparting wisdom, the one thing I learned from that guy was he never gave up loving people. He never gave up like sharing his heart. Even in his older age, he still wanted to connect, knowing, these people are sick and he might lose one of them, and that he might have to go to another funeral out of the, I don't know how many of his friends he got to bury. You know what I mean? And I mean, you're visiting these people and they've buried a lot of people. When you get up into your 80s, you've buried a lot of people. You've experienced a lot of loss in your life. And that was the one lesson I learned from him. It's like, it was better to love and lose than to never love at all, even though it came with the experience of pain afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I've carried that lesson with me since, because I never really heard it put quite the way he didn't say it in those words, but those were like, he had tears when he was talking to me. He also never had that like give up, that give up, that I don't know why I did all of these things. He never regretted the love that he gave to those people, which I thought was really cool and it was super admirable.
You know, I had one of the things that has stuck with me is I had a guy in Illinois. He had to been early 90s. One of the things he told me, and it has stuck with me ever since then, he said your first 40 years is addition. You make friends, you make relationships, you go on trips, you discover different things, you're discovering the world, you're doing everything that you want to do in life. You're building a family, you're building a house, you're having kids. He said your second 40 years is all subtraction. You start losing friends that you'd made in those first 40 years because they're getting families and they're moving away. They're getting their own life. People start passing away. Your family passes away. You lose your parents. That stuck with me when he said that. And boy, is that true. It is so true. And I think one of the things, because I did other things too, trying to give back. I gave free, photography workshops, free photography lessons. I volunteered food drives at churches and stuff like that. And all good stuff, great stuff. But there was something missing from it. One of the churches I was going to at the time was one of these, I don't know what you call them. I call them a rock concert. You go in and it's 40 minutes of music and then you get 10 minutes of preaching,
Yeah.
and a huge church. And they would have these food drives and it's great stuff they do. I mean, they would literally bring in semis full of food that they distributed out to, food pantries and churches and stuff. But I seen so many people that would come there to do this, and they were there to get their picture taking, holding a box of food, and then they were gone.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want that. I wanted something more personal. I wanted more of a connection. And, as much as I still do it, I enjoy, helping people in photography and stuff like that. But going to these things and sitting and talking to these people, you make a true connection. And not only do you make a connection, I learn things. I honestly think even though I was there, and you could tell they would just light up when somebody was there to listen to their story, because the only interactions they have are with a nurse or a doctor that has to get to the next room. And yeah, those nurses are great. I could not do that job. There's no way I could do that job. But they're not going to sit there and have a connection with them. But I honestly took more from those connections than I think they did. And it just meant, it still does mean so much to me to go to these things and talk to these people and learn lessons from them and listen to their stories, listen about what they were grown up. And if it's somewhere that it's even more in depth when it's somewhere that, I talked to a guy that he grew up right outside Glacier National Park when it was just starting out, and growing before national parks were popular. Mm-hmm. Listening to how they were then before the 2.2 million people a day decided to come through and trash it. It was great stories like that. Hearing stories of, I used to sit on my porch and a pack of wolves would walk through my backyard every night. That kind of stuff. But, then to go back and see that picture still hanging on the wall, and they look at it every day and they think about that connection and they think about that conversation. I don't know how many times I've sat down and it's like, man, it was great seeing you again. Everything else. Oh yeah. I was waiting for you to come back. I remembered something I didn't tell you.
Oh, so cool.
They had another story they wanted to tell me. If you got time, I've got all the time in the world. Mm-hmm. So I am reaching out to, I'm just starting, other photographers and stuff. I try to want to make a network. Not only do I want people to go do these with me, but I would love to see people in your guys' area do this. People out in California do this, Oregon, all these little pockets of photographers and men and just get together, make a Facebook group of, hey, because I think a couple episodes ago, you guys were talking about a face group. Facebook group that you guys were. I think Steve, you were talking to one of the guests on.
Oh yeah,
and
he started a men's group locally here, and he's actually talking about finding ways to give back locally for some of us
yeah,
to get
I mean,
together and do some service work
yeah,
as a
I mean,
group. So
that's kind of the stuff I'm looking for, and I'd
yep.
love to see happen. No, not necessarily you're going to take photos and give them, but you can still make visits.
Yep.
I try to, like I said, I try to do this 2, 3 times a year. I'm trying to, especially during the holidays, because I think that can be harder for a lot of
It's
those people.
definitely harder on people. It's definitely a reminder of things for sure. And we got the
Because,
holidays coming up.
right, right, again, that it's a little self therapy because the holidays are a very hard time for me, especially now. That was my mom's favorite time of year.
Mm-hmm.
Last two have not been good for me. So I went to these homes and tried to spend as much time as I could with them and listening to them and their stories and their holiday stories and talking about the whole family getting together for dinner and everything. And it's just something I would love to see grow. And I also think as men sometimes we get the rap of being hard nosed and kind of out for ourselves and don't give back. But I also know there's a lot of men, like I have been for years now, give back, but tell no one about it.
That's generally what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Which is good because you feel good about yourself. You're doing it
Yep.
For the right reason.
For the right reason. I'm putting it out there because I want it to grow for the right reason.
Yeah. I have some thoughts listening to you talk. And this goes back to, I always go back to the tribal days. And, our elders were taken care of. There was, when someone was getting old in the tribe, those were the noble, wise people, and they were protected. They were taken care of all day long. They were brought food, they were given water, whatever they needed. And to listen to about these people essentially getting put away in a room to have someone else take care of them. Where we've gone as human beings from the tribe days where everyone mattered and everyone was part of the tribe, and when one person was gone, how much it could hurt the tribe. And now with how busy everyone is and people's goals and other things, that it's okay to go and put a parent in a home and not go see them because of our lives. They're so busy. And listen to you talk is like how many people are put into these homes and their families are still around. Yeah, they may have to travel to go see them. It just hurts my heart thinking that they go put their father, mother, sister, brother, whatever, in a home and make a conscious decision not to go visit them because their life is more important. And where I'm going with this is you realize how important those people's lives are, and it helps you. And some of the little things that we can give back as humans to help us and help others, it's big. And you were talking about how, you don't talk about it. And I think as men, if we put some of that stuff out there, we get shamed. We get made fun of. It can be in certain groups, right? But your willingness to go give back to these people that essentially, have been left to die. We don't do that with our dogs. We don't do that with other things, but we're willing to do that with human beings. It makes me upset that where we've come today that's okay. That we can go, and if we're well off, that we can go put our family members in a home to forget about them. And it took so much work for them to bring us up. And when we have to pay their respect to them, we just go pay for someone else to take care of them.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It is.
And we've turned it into something that's acceptable, and we've also created a business out of it, right?
Mm-hmm. And
Oh, exactly.
yeah, those, when my stepfather, dad was getting to the point where his dementia was so bad, doctors were like, it'd probably be the best to go put him in a senior living home. It wasn't hospice or anything like that. It was just a home where they had nurses. But you know what? His family went and saw every day. Grandma and grandpa got seen every day by pretty much all their kids that lived in town. They would stop by every day and go see them, spend a couple hours with them, right? So that's a little different. But you're right. It's such a business now, and
I'm not even trying to justify it. I'm just saying, like, you look at where we are as a society. I mean, it's almost encouraged nowadays. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, the overarching.
Doing this too, I did see patients there that did have family come and see them. But you could also tell a difference in those families. You could tell the families that walked in that had worry all over their face and fear all over their face, and they didn't want their parent or whoever it is there. Then you seen the ones that got there and it was just inconvenience written all over their face.
Yeah.
And I will never wrap my mind around that. It was the hardest thing for my family to do, to put my grandmother in that home, but we weren't physically able to, with her dementia and everything, take care of her. She needed round the clock help.
24. Yep.
But somebody in my family was there every day.
And I understand that with grandpa, because with his dementia, they found him lost multiple times out in the middle of nowhere,
Right,
until they took his keys away. And that's when the decision was made to, hey, grandpa needs to go somewhere where he's got 24/7 care of it. He opens that door, someone's alerted. I totally get that. I don't know. My mind is just swirling with where we've come as society. I don't know. I
and
understand.
that's why I want to get this out there.
Yeah.
Connection is absolutely important. And I think that's going to be a common theme in most of these episodes, one way or another. And what you're trying to do is, at least you feel disconnected and you want to show up and try and give that back and also receive some. And I think everybody's benefiting from those little moments, and you spending that time. I think it's really honorable thing to do. Well, it's funny we're having this conversation because I just finished writing a post, and I was thinking about something else, which led me to start looking up, what do people regret the most in their life? What are the regrets? And there's a lady called Bronnie Ware who wrote a book on the 5 things people regret in their life, because she went to hospitals and talked to people that were on their deathbed. It's like the 5 regrets of the dying. None of them have to do with stuff. No one ever regretted not having enough things. Here are the 5 things, and we'll finish out this episode with this. The 5 things that the dying wished they did. I wish I had let myself be happier. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. That was number 2. Number 1, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. What I'm
That's
trying
intense.
to say was, what's that?
So that's intense. That really is.
Yeah.
It
Those five things right now are regrets I already have.
I
And I'm not
know.
even-
And
It's
we're
like-
not even I'm not even there. Like I was sitting there thinking and like I had this wonder in my head because connection right now is so top of mind for me. And the disconnection I feel with where we're at overall as people. And that's what led me down this path. And I didn't realize that this was true until I started Googling to try and find my own answers. Like, and none of it has to do with stuff. And here we are in a capitalistic society just collecting shit. And
And
so
we do nothing to stop it.
no, I
No.
mean, I guess what I'm saying is those people have realized that they've abandoned themselves along the way. And I'm not saying you need to be a freaking narcissist asshole. I'm saying the connection with oneself is so important because without connecting to yourself, you can't connect to somebody else on the level that we're wishing that we could be connected with. And we don't even have the words to it. It's so hard to describe it because it's nuanced. And it has to know, and it has everything to know, like getting past all of the masks and bullshit that we wear to try and get through the day. And like this one, that one, courage to just freaking live my life. And I think we all need to have a little bit more courage. There's so many things where I wish I could have done this. And I mean, Robbie, we're already there. I can't do this because I can't do this because I can't do this because that means I'm not willing to sacrifice this thing to do this thing. No matter what we do in life, it's going to come with a sacrifice. What am I willing to sacrifice? Sometimes it's comfort, sometimes it's time, sometimes it's money, but really the list of sacrifices are about the length of there's only so many things. Time, money, and a couple other things. You know what I mean? All
And
for
I think,
connection.
unfortunately, we find out too late that those sacrifices really aren't shit.
No.
It's when we lose somebody that we went, if we'd have sacrificed this time, if I'd have sacrificed less time at work and to spend more time with this person, that regret's what hit you, because those sacrifices really, in the scheme of things, aren't shit.
Yeah.
It's just all in our head.
Yeah. What it comes down to, I mean, the thought that comes to my mind when I hear you say that is if I had known this person wasn't going to be here as long as, they were, then I would have done something differently. So I guess I'm going to finish this episode by saying thank you, Brian, for coming on
Thank you.
and sharing about giving back and that sort of stuff. If you're going to always feel free to share information with us. If you do start a group or you start collecting people, we'll share that information on our IG platform. Thanks for your time, Brian, as always. Thanks for sharing your heart, Brian, as always. And yeah, to anyone out there, I know that it can be a lonely world, but if you can think of someone right now, whoever that first person crosses your mind, send them a message. I know we all love somebody. Tell them, because I know we don't tell people we love them enough. It's just not something that we do. So thank you for being here. I love you guys.
Love you too, man. Take care, guys.
Take care.